not even need Bauer's game for me.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today I'm excited checking out Uno Flip from Mattel. This is for 2 to 10 players. Age is 7+. It'll take you, I don't know, half hour to an hour to play if you're playing it the correct way with the points. And in Uno Flip, this is your typical game of Uno, right? You got Uno cards, but are you ready to have your mind blown? There's a backside. You're going to flip it over and go into the dark side of the deck, which has draw 5 cards. It has a special, as regular wild cards, but also a special type of press your luck style wild cards, where you can lie to your friends, potentially. It's going to have a whole bunch of different stuff like that. 2 different sides to the deck. Lots more going on in this one, so let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. But before we get to that, if you like what I do, you want to support the channel, click on that Patreon link down below. Anything you can contribute is a huge help to making the channel better with better audio, video, production quality. But let's open up Uno Flip. Right, then we're going to take a look at what you get inside of Uno Flip. So, first and foremost, we get our handy-dandy, obnoxiously long rule book. The backside is Spanish, but it's well done. It should have you up and running in no time at all. And most of it is just this huge chunk where they talk about all the different cards in the game, because you're going to have light side cards, the stuff that you're used to, like your skips and your +1. What? Yeah, lots of changes coming here. Your usual cards that you're used to, but then they also have the dark side cards, which do some different things as well, which we'll talk about. We'll go through all the different cards. Overall, well done rule booklet, should have you up and running in no time at all. So in Uno Flip, what you're going to be doing is you're trying to be the first person to get to 500 points. And you're going to do that by going out, getting rid of all your cards, and then scoring the cards of the people that are remaining, their cards. So when you first start the game, everyone's going to dealt 7 cards, and you're going to get your cards on the regular Uno side. As you'll note, the back side is filled with all sorts of other different cards. What is this? Yeah, we'll talk about it later. So, how it's going to work? Flip over a card. There's some fancy way they decide to go who goes first, but let's be honest, you're not doing that. So, we start like this. We're actually going to start on the dark side. And whoops, I actually need to fix this real quick, because you start on the light side, which means we're going to be starting with that face up. So we flip over the top card, and it is a wild. I'm never quite sure what to hear to do this. I'm pretty sure it just means this person can play whatever card they want. So they'll start off, they'll say, haha, blue, +1. So this person draws a card, goes in their hand. You know it. You love it. This person can either play a blue or they can play another +1. They're a jerk. Actually, you know what? They want to get things crazy. They're going to flip everything. So how this works is, bam! This gets flipped. That gets flipped. Everything gets flipped. Except for that card. It should already been flipped. So everything gets flipped, and we are now on the dark side, which means now this person has to go, and they have to play a 7. But on the dark side, there's some different stuff. There's a lot of cray-cray stuff going on. So first, we got ourselves a +5. Yeah, you read that right. That's a draw 5. Ow. It hurts. This one, you know, that one's going to flip it back over. This is a typical wild. This is your fancy wild, and I really want to emphasize how you play with this card, because I think a lot of people are going to play this game and they're going to miss one crucial element of the rules that I want to emphasize right now if you're watching this video, which is that you can only play this if you don't have a card to play at that time. So let's say right now I don't have a purple in my hand, which I actually don't. Well, I could play this wild, and I do have a purple. So you can only play this if you don't have a purple in your hand, unless you're willing to risk it for the biscuit. Because what this card does is, when you play it down, you get to decide what color it is, and then the next person has to draw cards until they get to a specific color. So I'd say you have to draw until you get to a green card. So not green, not green, not green, not green, ow. So 5 cards they just essentially drew. Now this person can just take that, or they can do and say, I'm going to challenge you, buddy, because I think you do have a purple card or a wild in your hand. At which point, then this person has to show their cards, and owie, they take the penalty, and they take a worse penalty, which stinks. So there's a press your luck element there, where you can lay down these cards and risk lying to other people, which I really dig that element of the game, and I'll talk more about in the pros and cons. So, you know, in this case, this guy's not going to call my bluff. He's going to draw the 5 cards, and then his turn is going to be over. Then it gets to this person. He has to play, what did we say? It was green? I don't know. Which gives me to another example. So we got a reverse. Pretty typical stuff, but you also have the monster skip, which skips every single other person. Instead of just skipping one person, which is a terrible mechanism, it skips everybody, which is, in essence, is a completely different mechanism. It goes from just skipping, it goes from being an attack card to being more of an offense, really good card for yourself, where it's like, the skip was helpful, but this is super helpful because you essentially get to lay 2 cards in a row, and if you have numerous skips, then you can line them up. Now, the other interesting card is, while I'm looking at my cards like this, other people are going to see what I have in my hand, which really, the more you get into this game, the more impactful that can be, and it almost turns it into a quasi-memory game as you try to remember what other people had. But anywho, you're going to continue to do this until someone discards all their cards but one, in which case you have the typical Uno thing where you have to say Uno, and once someone goes out, this person, the one that went out, is going to score a whole bunch of points. How many points? Well, it's all laid out right here. I don't remember it off the top of my head. The draw 1 is 10 points. The face value cards, so like a 6 is worth 6 points. The big ones are the wild cards, which are worth 60, 50, 40 points. But anywho, you'll tally up the points, and if someone has not reached 500 points, then you will rinse, wash, and repeat, and deal again. Or if you're playing with kids, you'll probably just have a day at that and play another game of it. Well, that in a nutshell is what you're going to do inside of Uno Flip. Alrighty then, Uno Flip from Mattel. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros and let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody's favorite variety of different reasons. While this does add new bells and new whistles to Uno, and I think they're all really good bells and whistles, to be honest with you. It's still Uno. It's still Uno with a facelift. It's still very random, very luck-driven. It still can drag out, especially if you're playing at the higher player counts. I played a 6-player game in my class, and I was like, okay, I don't think I'd want to go much higher than this, but it says it goes up to 10, and I've played in games like that before of the original Uno, which just dragged on forever, because getting 500 points with 10 people, it can happen really, really fast, or if everybody kind of wins a game at a time, it can happen over forever. So you need to know that going into it, that it still has the length problem that the original Uno could lead itself to, assuming you're playing with the points, which I think most kids don't do. Continuing on with the cons, there's some slight questions you might have in the rule booklet about what happens if this specific situation happens with this situation, and the rule booklet is not the most friendly to go back to because it's like it looks like a frickin' CVS receipt. But what it does do well is describing all the cards, which is the most important part right there. So overall, while the rule booklet's not bad, it could be a little bit better. Any other cons I have with the game? I'm not a big fan of the tuck box because, you know, I hate tuck boxes, but it fits the brand, so it is what it is. That's what I got on the con side. Moving on to the pros, I think Uno Flip is a better game than Uno, and if I had my choice, I would never play Uno again over Uno Flip. I think it is just a better game. I think it has more strategy. I think it adds a press your luck element to the game. And that's one last con that I have with the game, and hopefully you saw that in the middle part, and I want to emphasize it heavily. There is not a rule that says that you can't play those special dark side wild cards. So there's dark side wild cards which you're not supposed to play if you can play anything else. So if you can play any other card, you should not play that card. But those cards are very powerful, but you can press your luck and you can lie to your friends potentially. And I think if you add that element into the game, it's going to easily add like 0.5 to the game. Just pure and simple, because it does add. And what I like to do when I was playing with the kids was I put some heavy emphasis on it. I'd be like, oh, you have to draw, cards until you get to this, and then once they do the cards, it'd be like, or you can challenge them. Do you think they're telling the truth or not? It really made it into a big deal, and the kids really enjoyed it, and the one adult group that I played with agreed that they liked that element quite a good deal. It does add a really unique element to the game. I also like the exclusion of the skip card, and now the skip everybody card. I like the draw 1 instead of draw 2, because you're going to be drawing tons of cards on that dark side with that +5 card. And in the end, Uno Flip, it's this simple. If you're watching this video and you like Uno, give it a try. I think you're really going to dig it. I think you'll like the new elements. Nothing's too terribly confusing. If you know how to play Uno, this is going to feel very familiar, and absolutely can recommend. And I'm not keeping this game. Here's the thing. I've played this game about 20 times now, which is way more than most reviewers are going to do, because I work with kids, and kids freaking love Uno. You have kids, or you work with kids, kids love Uno. So I just played this over and over and over again. And the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it. But I already committed to give it to a girl in my class for good behavior, which I'm kind of regretting, because now I kind of want to keep this in my collection, my schoolroom collection. Still not going to play it on game night or anything like that. But there you go. That is Uno Flip from Mattel. If it looks like it might be a cup of tea, be sure to check that one out. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If you support the channel, click on the Patreon link down below. Every little penny helps. And in the comments below, let me know if you could have a dark side, add a dark side to any game out there, an extreme dark side. Mountain Dew, circa 1990s with Cheetos, extreme dark side. What dark side do you want in a game? I'm looking around my collection. I want an extreme Sheriff of Nottingham. I want an extreme side to Sheriff of Nottingham where there's like extreme cards that will add, physical challenges. I don't know what's going on here. I'll take it with Sheriff of Nottingham. But let me know in the comments below. What do you want an extreme side to? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.